Nice background, Chad. Looks familiar. I think we're ready to get going, Chad. I can't tell if you being muted is a bit. I really can't.
It wasn't a bit. I thought you were just waiting for me. This is awkward. A very, very traditional start for anyone that was here last year, but
here we are.
I can't believe it's here. It's 9:01, and I think we're ready to kick this party off.
I'm so excited. So everyone, welcome to Hoppy Hanukkah, the craft beer experience hosted by Brewvana.com. My name is Todd Summers.
And I am Chad Brodsky, and we will be your Jewish drinking buddies and hosts for the next 7 days. Or nights
for this holiday. So it's night 2, so let's just get into it. Let's open our night 2 beers. You might have one of these. And you're open.
Mine's right here. I've been waiting for this one all morning since I opened the box earlier. Very excited.
I don't think we had any 8.8% beers last year, so I'm like, let's see how this goes.
And I've got my trusty Brewvana glass. Ooh, fancy.
Night 1 or I guess night
2. You're ready.
Ben has already drank his, which is kind of a normal thing.
All right, it's time to kick this off. I'm not going as close. Cheers. L'chaim. L'chaim to everyone at home. All right. So as we grab this beer, over the next 30, we're going to be with you guys for about 30 minutes. And over those next 30 minutes, we're going to be teaching you a 5-step beer appraisal. We're also going to be having a conversation with Jeremy Cowan, who is the founder of this amazing beer that the creator of this amazing beer, as well as the founder of Shmaltz Brewing, who launched Hebrew out of San Francisco in 1996. So I am so pumped to have Jeremy on this tasting with us tonight.
We are so lucky to have him. And so tonight and every night, we encourage you to drink this beer with us. If you have the willpower, I think Ben has finished his already. That's fine. So tonight we have Shmaltz Brewing, the Exodus 2021. And before we go any further, it's housekeeping time. So Kate is our chat moderator. It's actually a different Kate than last year. Same name, different spelling, different person. And so we encourage you to use the chat for banter, tasting notes, comments about my mustache or Chad's new mustache, which is, I don't know, we probably are going to have to talk about that. Just make sure that in the settings that you send the message to everyone so that you're not just messaging yourself into the void. And we also have the Q&A, and that's going to be monitored by Kate as well. That's for questions. So if you have a question that you really want us to answer, use the Q&A for that. So we have 2 spaces for you to interact with us.
Hebrew is featured at Renan's wedding. That is awesome. Well, now that everyone has a beer, or I hope everyone has a beer at home, and if you're new to our Hoppy Hanukkah craft beer experience, version 2, we did this last year. Welcome. We're so happy to be drinking with you over the next 7 nights. And if you're joining us from last year, welcome back. It's been a long year, and we deserve these beers that are in these boxes. So now let's kick off the festivities. Again, I wish I had like a gong just to like ring it in, but I think another l'chaim is required. So l'chaim, this is the official start to our second annual Hoppy Hanukkah craft beer experience.
Awesome. And so to set the scene a little bit, I think you're all smart, but just to reiterate, at some point you should have received this box. This is how you should have ended up here. So there's 8 delicious beers. We have varying styles. No barley wine last year, barley wine this year. We mix it up. So if you can wait, again, we'll be here at 9 o'clock every night. There are other surprises. I ate all of my chocolate like at 2 p.m.
I'm waiting.
So there are other surprises throughout. And then, so last night you got a tasting notebook in night 1 along with the Kolsch. Chad, what did you write? Do you have any good notes for us?
I wrote something incredible. I actually did an artistic depiction. Actually, my 2.5-year-old did an artistic abstract depiction of me drinking the Goody Two Shoes Kolsch from Exhibit A.
Sort of looks like you drank like 20 of them.
What about you, Todd? What's your tasting notes look like?
So I do not have a 2.5-year-old, but I am 32. So I also use the power of art. I said this beer is swell. I agreed with the internet, 9.8 out of 10. Only downside that there weren't more of them in the box because I could have drank a million of them. And we got into an argument about this, but lemons for me. Just love a lemon.
Did I see a rating there on there? Can I see that?
9.8 out of 10.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. I expect that every night. I don't know if we'll see how this tonight goes because we're dealing with a heavy hitter. So
Dad, I need you to read what Jonathan wrote and then what Eric wrote.
Very lemony. Yep. I see.
We're allowed to disagree.
I didn't get that much lemon, but to each his own. There are no wrong answers when you're tasting beer. So that's fine that you got lemon. If you get lemon in this beer, now then that would be a confusing topic that we should discuss. But Todd, why are you qualified to even be here tonight? Considering I know you were here last year, but what about tonight?
So last year, I believe I was technically voluntold to be here by you, because again, you're still my boss. This year, however, I demanded to be involved. I held you hostage and I said, you're going to let me be on because it was so much fun. But qualifications, so beyond the obvious being Jewish, had my bar mitzvah on birthright. I think I mentioned that last year, one of the very famous, one of my favorite experiences. I'm our sales manager for City Brew Tours and Unboxed, which is great. I'm a multiple 5-star reviewed tour guide in 3 cities. I'm a giant beer fan. I like large glasses and I'm just a huge fan of beer. Enthusiasm wise, live in Vermont. So when you actually move to Vermont, they give you Birkenstocks and a 4-pack of Heady Topper when you either sign your lease or buy your house. So that's what qualifies me. Chad, I put you through the ringer last year, and I think you should have to answer the same thing. Why did your own company let you get on the internet and talk about beer?
A lot of convincing. No, so I'm the CEO and founder of a bunch of beer-oriented companies. So City Brew Tours, Brewvana, and as recently Unboxed Experiences. So I know a little bit about beer. Actually, I know kind of a lot about beer. I'm also a certified Cicerone, which if anyone's familiar with a wine sommelier, that's the beer version of that. But with all of that said, now you know a little bit. Oh, and I'm in Boston. I'm not in Vermont. We're in the New England area. We also have some great beer there. But now you know a little about us. We want to know about everyone out there. So who's in our chat? Where are you guys coming from? Any favorite breweries that you love too?
Chicago.
So where you're from and favorite brewery that you like there. Whoa, we got Ohio, Lexington, Providence, DC, New York City, Michigan,
Tampa, Florida, Michigan, Cleveland Rocks,
Commonwealth. Oh, awesome.
Texas, the big
Seattle.
Cambridge,
We
Austin.
are.
This is too fast. Milwaukee,
This is
Morningside
very
Heights.
fast. You guys are very. This is Columbus, Ohio. Amazing.
Oh, there's
scene
another
out there.
Todd, New Jersey, Philly.
All right, I think Todd, we have to switch you out.
Yeah,
Put this Todd on the chat.
yeah. There's another Todd. I've been replaced. It's very easy to replace me.
Todd, did you do Hanukkah yet, or have you been waiting for this delicious beer before you lit the candles?
I lit all of my candles. They melted, but you know what? I got this one.
Fair enough.
What about you? I see
Uh,
your candles in the back.
yeah, those
they
are
been
just
lit?
a prop. It's
Those
a
are prop candles.
Yeah, we
That's
had
a
to
good
do it with
idea.
my 2.5-year-old. We actually taught her a Hanukkah song. I'm not going to sing the Hanukkah song that we taught her. Maybe after this 8.8% beer, that can be coaxed out of me. But I think it's time to dive into more about this beer. That's what everyone's here for. Everyone came to learn about beer, to drink beer. And let's dive into Shmaltz Brewing's Exodus 2021. So in order to do that, we're going to have to do a 5-step beer appraisal. For anyone that is very conscientious, on our website at bruvana.com/Hanukkah, we actually have a cheat sheet on how to do a 5-step beer appraisal. So you're welcome to go to that website, but I am going to do it with you guys right now. So this beer is a barley wine, and it is a heavy hitting barley wine, 8.8%. And it's brewed with dates, figs, pomegranates, and grapes. So,
Hey, Chad, you said barley wine. Does this mean that this is wine?
it does not mean it's wine. It is still a malt beverage. It does not have any, but it does have, technically it has grapes. So I think we need to wait for Jeremy to be able to deconstruct that, because that's a super complex question.
Not wine.
Not wine, though. All right, so our first step in our beer appraisal, it's going to be appearance. Todd, what
do you
color
do
would
first?
you say this beer
Well,
is?
it's interesting because the internet is a crazy place. So yours, to me, if I was looking through the screen, I would say that yours
Very
is
dark.
borderline motor oil, pitch black. I don't even know the color motor oil, but it looks pitch black. To me, I'm getting more of like, this is the hardest part for me because I'm borderline colorblind. But this is like a dark amber, I think is what I'm going to call it. It's, can you see through it, Chad?
I cannot see anything through it. Nope.
Can't see through it. How are we doing with the head? What's a head?
Head is going to be the foam. Fancy word for foam. Your glass is having a much better head retention than my glass right here. But Michelle said, yes, amber. I would agree with that. And another way to nucleation, Julie, nice word, like it. All right, so next step. So that's our appearance, right? This is going to tell us if it was maybe filtered or not filtered. It's going to tell us some colors, that the different malts that might have been used in this process. What about aromatics? Everyone get their nose deep in that beer.
Get your nose right in there.
Try not to snort the beer. That's not fun and it hurts.
What do you get, Chad?
I almost just went for the sip. I just almost jumped ahead because it just smelled so good. I get like raisins. I get a little bit of tobacco.
Slightly. I get like it's.
Ooh, cherry.
I have a sweet tooth. That's like my number one thing. So the date fig is like right there for me. Yeah.
Allison gets raisins as well. Brazen raisins. I like that. That's awesome. All right.
I took a sip. I couldn't even make it.
Yeah, I know. It's like you smell it. It's just like
it was subconscious.
Next part is taste. Oh,
taste is important.
Taste is so important that we need to do it again, I think.
And it's
4 times.
I always tell people 3, but I think it's 4 because we did the 1 subconsciously, so we'll take that one off. It didn't count. Front of the tongue, back of the tongue, different receptors, right?
Indeed.
Another reason you know this isn't wine is that if this was a wine tasting, we would spit it out, but we're not doing that, so couldn't be wine. So Chad, what
Ooh.
are barley wines known for? What if this was a traditional barley wine? What would we expect?
So there's two different types of barley wine. There's like American barley wines, and then there's English barley wines, but they're going to be known for obviously higher alcohol, so high ABV, as well as huge malt backbone. Going to usually be like very sweet malty because it's using some of that runoff of the first runoff of the brewing process. But I'm getting too technical. We've got so many nights of beer ahead of us, and we need to get through this beer because we need to get to someone who's waiting in the wings very anxiously. So what about mouthfeel, Todd? Or actually, let's open it to the audience. Everyone, mouthfeel. Is this like a watery beer? Is this like drinking water? Is it like drinking milk? What would Crisco?
It's
definitely maybe light, medium, or heavy. What would you guys say?
It's not the heaviest barley wine I've had in my life, but it's not. I would say this is somewhere on the more viscous side. It's between medium and heavy. It's like the sweetness is really like holds it together. So it's not gonna. Isn't super carbonated, so it's not like rinsing your mouth out. So it hangs around.
Yeah, this is awesome, especially knowing that this is a 9% beer. You would not know this is a 9%er. So props to Jeremy when we bring him on. Like, very well done. All right, and last, the finish. How's this beer finishing?
Considering I've drank about half of it in 10 minutes, I don't think the booze is not slapping me at the end.
Not even a little bit.
So drinkable, so smooth. Ben said finishes smoother than I thought. And Renan, did I say that right? Says it lasts a while, which
yeah, it's definitely lingering on the palate. But I think we've heard enough from us, Todd. I think we need to bring on the man who created it, Mr. Jeremy Cowan, founder of Shmaltz. So let's see if he's around. Let's see if
maybe
if we
he's
can,
free tonight.
You think he's free? I don't know. Let's see. I feel like we're on the million. What
wants to be a millionaire?
Who wants to be a millionaire? Oh, he's available.
He waited so long he started drinking liquor. Jeremy, welcome.
This was the longest I ever had to wait to drink my own beer in my own bar. You guys, you're too hot. Those outfits are just too exceptional. I don't know what to do with myself.
These things?
Yeah, well, now you can start drinking, on the street. I guess.
Are they going to be half off by Thursday or Friday? Or are you actually wearing pants?
No pants.
No.
Why would you? It's not
we're on.
We're up.
All right, Jeremy, let's start with the Jeremy intro. Give us your tap room pitch. Someone walks in, they say, "Hey, who are you?"
They don't do that.
I don't think anyone's ever done that.
They walk in and order stuff from us in Troy, New York. I am standing in my 3-year-old tasting room in my town that I live in upstate New York, called Troy, just north of Albany. I have a little Shmaltz liquor. Is it okay with you guys if I drink on the job here? Is this
encouraged?
It's required. It's required.
I'll be joining you with some Exodus 2021 here in a second. This is Distilled Jubilation, which was our anniversary beer. It was already 14% alcohol and much more of a crazy ass banger like you guys were talking about. And then we distilled it and ended up at about 126 proof. We brought it down just for Hanukkah, brought it down to 88. So nice little addition to the program. I also brought with me, I hope it's okay. Yesterday we had our second annual donut extravaganza. Ooh.
Look at those. Those look so good.
This is the alternative sufganiyot with the crispy shell, but the jelly filling that is absolutely unbelievable. Chocolate made with the Exodus barley wine, and just a crazy chocolate donut with blue and white Hanukkah sprinkles that she just threw into the mix. It wasn't even part of the pairing. So that's for my friend Jen at Cider Belly, who's up here in Albany. If anybody ever needs an outrageously insane, wonderfully delicious set of donuts. Please go to Cider Belly in Albany, New York. Second
one of
year,
those
just
in the
giving
box
me the
next
big
year.
time hookup. So far, not talking too much about our own place. That's fine. This is an adventure. I love seeing people all over the country. I mean, I'm looking at your at the chat, and I've basically sold beer at one time or another so far in every single one of the markets that people are in, which is really cool. Florida, New Orleans, from San Francisco, a lot of New York, but we're distributed now in about 15 states across the East Coast. We just sent some beer to Iowa. We just sent some beer to California, Northern California. The beer, I think I'm allowed to say it, although they usually tell us we have to wait, but the beer will be in the world famous Hanukkah tent at Disney in Florida for their holiday spectacular.
Never heard of it.
I feel like
The third
when's
year,
that happening?
gotta give a huge shout out to Nikki, our sales manager in Florida with Cavalier Distributing, who just hooks it up. 25 kegs for this fabulous 2021 Hanukkah extravaganza.
So you mentioned a Hanukkah extravaganza, and so I think most people are getting the hint at this point that you're a Jewish beer company. I think that's clear.
Usually
when you started this,
yeah, usually what they say is, so Hebrew, the chosen beer, like don't pass out Passover, Jubilation, Messiah, it's the beer you've been waiting for, Genesis Ale, your first creation. So is this some kind of like Jewish thing? And I just say, no, I thought it would be just hilarious and wildly successful to start the only, but the biggest by far, well, and the smallest simultaneously, and the most award-winning, I will proudly proclaim, and still the only Jewish-themed craft brewery in America. So I don't know what that really makes it. I go with the Supreme Court on a definition of something else. People always were like, well, so what's Jewish beer? And as I put on the label for our Lenny Bruce tribute beer, I said, you'll damn well know it when you taste it. So that you got to go with that.
That's fair. And so what was the inspiration to start the most
Jews.
award-winning? Yeah.
Just
the people.
Jews. The inspiration was an inside joke with my friends from high school. There were two of us on a volleyball team playing against the Gentiles, and we thought the Jews needed their own beer since it had been 350 years, and everybody else had their own beer in the United States. So it was time for Jews too. And so we thought, we'll call it Hebrew, and shirts will say "Don't pass out, pass over" on the back. And then we just did absolutely nothing with that idea because, as you can tell, it's not the best idea. It's a cute idea. It kind of reminds me when The Simpsons, when they start the barbershop quartet and Homer says, we need a name. It's really funny at first, and the more you think about it, the more you're unsure if it's funny anymore. So after 1 month, I had sold out of the first batch of Genesis in San Francisco. I launched it in '96, right about now, at a party in South of Market in San Francisco, and we had hand squeezed pomegranates that I got from the Mission District wholesale fruit market, and took it down to a tiny little brewery in Northern California in Cupertino. Was in between the Pet Mart and the In-N-Out Burger. There was a little brewery. They made 5-gallon batches, and the staff were notorious for listening to intense heavy metal and skateboarding during their shifts. But they also had a brewer who ended up being an amazing, amazing success story at a giant craft brewer called Pyramid. And he did the very first recipe for me of Genesis. So when people ask what's the best part of the job, most of the time we like to keep them thinking that it's just like this. Like you stand around, you just have unbelievable beer, get wasted, hang out with your friends. That's the whole job. One good thing is that part of the job is just like that. That's when I would bring all these different beers from Northern California to the brewer and say, well, a little more like this, a little less like that. And I don't want to like that. And I don't want to like that. And I didn't know anything about what I was talking about. I didn't know what malts were. I didn't know what hops were. You two, especially Todd, your education, as I've seen in the last 18 minutes, has come a long way in the last year. So you currently know more than I ever knew when I started the actual Jewish beer company. And
so Jeremy, you've been doing this for a long time, it sounds like.
it's our 25th anniversary. This is, whoop, can you see that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, 25.
Love that.
And I'm in the middle of my 25th anniversary grand finale tour that kicked off in Denver in September and Troy, New York in September. And then we did Philly and San Francisco. And this week is Brooklyn, Jersey City Friday night with my good friend John Hall, who is an unbelievable beer writer and a wonderful, wonderful guy. And Mr. Jersey Joe himself, Joey Kegs from Neshaminy Creek, who's going to be in-house for Hanukkah versus Christmas, the Battle Royale of beers on Friday night in Jersey City. And then Saturday, my OG crew in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, we started Spite and Dival, one of the most important beer bars in the history of beer bars, and a wonderful spot. And then we go to Barcade, also an incredible friend, and we've had a million parties there, including our Philly one. And I've got Big Ryan, who's going to be with Ebbs Brewing from Queens, and my old buddy, Brian, who was at Sly Fox, who is now at the owner and brewmaster at Mainstay down in Philly. So a sick lineup of 36 hours of incredible beers.
That is
shared for the grand finale. It's pretty sweet.
So grand finale, we have a question from Rick, and I think we have to sort of
everyone probably.
Everyone's curious. So Rick's question, which I think I'm going to read word for word just because the end of it made me laugh. So he says, does the "did you know" card about your last batch mean you're shutting down the brewery or just no longer making Exodus? My wife thinks you're going out of business based on this card. Please tell my wife she's an idiot.
That's a pretty impressive chat. I like that. I mean, it's well thought out. It's got a lot going on.
It makes
Sarah,
a very small ask.
Yes, I appreciate that. So yes, we will definitely get to that in one moment, because I want to give some shout outs to Sarah. You got to come see us at the Independent. I failed to mention because I was so excited about this week, but the actual grand finale of grand finales will be at the Independent Seminole Heights with my absolutely wonderful friend Veronica and her incredible beer posse in Tampa. So you guys got to come out. And Alex for Sly Fox. Yes, indeed. The O'Reilly brothers put on quite a show for many, many years, and they were wonderful. That brewery really supported my shtick over the years. And now Brian's at Mainstay. His brother might come out too. So Seattle, Allison is on the list. We just can't get there this round. We did so many Seattle beer weeks. I don't know if you guys ever came to Browers or Red Hots, but man, those parties were insane. We used to kick off Seattle Beer Week with the Circus Sideshow performers from Coney Island, along with the incredible, crazy ass Hebrew beers that we were making with 17 malts, 17 hops, 17% alcohol. So very fun. And yes, there will be more. So on the one hand, his wife is right. I am wrapping up for 25 years. I have decided that this was the last beer for the Shmaltz brand for the moment, pretty much, I think. And Exodus 2021 is called that for a reason. Man, I'm 52. You young guys cruising around, sitting there in your fancy suits, and you got a lot of years ahead of you, but I got some miles up on this. So, I'd be happy to hand the baton on to let's say a rabbi from HUC who absolutely loves craft beer and wants to take a go and make this his Jewish manifest his Jewish vision for the future. Or she might want to explore Jewish creativity and imagination through the purposes or through the canvas and the lens of craft beer. I'm happy to hand batons over. But for me personally, I thought I had put every punchline and every bit of reference to Mel Brooks and The Simpsons and, this Beastie Boys and Sarah Silverman on a beer label until I actually pulled off a few more on Exodus. So I was pretty happy. I am very, very excited about this beer. And it is a combination with my other beer that we're just launching right now. which is called Bittersweet Lenny's RIPA. That is our rye-based double IPA. That's a tribute to a fallen hero named Lenny Bruce, Jewish comedian from the 50s and 60s, as folks might know from his own stuff or from Mrs. Maisel this year or last. And so Exodus is a fitting transition to what could be the promised land on the other side after was honestly really wasn't like walking through the desert. I started in 96 in Northern California and had a lot of great craft beer supporters. But in 2003, I did a tour across the country called 40 Days and 40 Nights, the Wandering Hebrew Beer Tour of America. And I went from San Francisco to New York, from Sukkot to Thanksgiving. And I ended up just keeping going for 5 straight years. I drove around the country and saw a lot of the places that folks are now. So way to go, Scott. The rabbi does not have to be from HUC. Any rabbi can be an alcoholic, and most of them want to be stand-up comedians. So it's kind of a good combo. We're just waiting for the right person. Hey, can I open this beer real quick? So I'm trying.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone on the chat, if you're interested in taking the reins of Shmaltz or Hebrew, is it Hebrew? Which Shmaltz is ending, right?
The company is the company is Shmaltz Brewing. It's been Shmaltz from the beginning. The brand was Hebrew, the chosen beer, and then there were flavors like Genesis and Messiah, Rejuvenator, Origin, Slingshot. So you could think of it as like I based it off of Sam Adams. Everybody knew Sam Adams, but the company was called Boston Beer, and then they had flavors like Boston Lager, Cherry Wheat. So for all those years, I was what's called a contract brewer. And that is when you go to a brewery when you don't know anything about anything and you beg them to make you 30 cases for Hanukkah. And they say, you're out of your mind, I'll make you 100. And you're like, I don't even own a car and I don't know what an invoice is. So you figure that out, you borrow your car from your grandmother and you drive the stuff around. And then, 17 years of doing that, you get distribution around the country. We sold in up to about 45 states. We've done about 150 different beers over the years. We've won 60 awards. We were named one of the top 100 brewers in the breweries in the world 2 years in a row on Rate Beer. So wonderful history, incredible shtick, really great beer, awesome community support. And it is time for me to transition into some new chapters. Which come and having beers with you guys just for fun. Won't even be a professional obligation. Like it'll be a blast. So next year,
that's how you cruise in your 50s. You drink for fun instead of for work. I love that.
It was a professional obligation for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds exhausting.
Yeah. This is the last Shmaltz season, but who knows? I mean, you can't stop Hanukkah, right? So this fabulous beer that you guys, I heard put in last year, which I have the last 3 cases of in existence, as far as I know, is the Jelly Donut Hanukkah beer from 2020. Absolutely lovely. I am going to get down on a bite of Jen's Jelly Donut powdered sugar, see how messy that gets. But I figure there's a lot of things that could happen. We still have big social media. We've got 55,000 folks engaged with our social media. We have 14,000 people on our email list. I don't know. Should we start a Jewish beer zine like I did in New Orleans in 1991? I'm not totally sure. Maybe. Worse idea.
You know what they say? The social media is nice, but you should get into print media.
Small batch
print media.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Set up a printing press in the back.
Right. Yeah.
Quick question. Can you tell everyone what your liquor company is called? Is it Shmaltz Liquor Company?
Yeah. So here, hold on. I got to get down on this. You guys discuss for a second.
So people want to asking Jeremy questions. Use our Q&A feature. Oh, wow. Look at that. That looks delicious. So if you have questions for Jeremy, we want to make sure we answer them live. So please use that Q&A feature right now.
So we've got craft magazines. True. I mean, probably better for actual crafting. The Jewish diamond scene, I believe they have been rather successful. I think there's more of them. I don't know if they have very funny t-shirts, but I mean, for the shot, there probably is a funny Jewish diamond t-shirt out there. So you can go on our website. Can I give a shameless plug right now?
Please.
Absolutely.
That's
Go on the website right now. Just do it, man. It's amazing. It's so fun. Beth hooked it up this year. And you can order online and ship directly to you, which is pretty exciting. We've got gift boxes. We've got t-shirts. We got a lot of beer. And then to your point, Todd, I'm not ignoring you about the liquor.
I thought that was the shameless plug that you were about to go down. So 2, I guess, which is still okay.
I'm going to talk for a second. It's powdered sugar.
What's incredible to me and what I'm curious about is I was going to ask Jeremy while he's chewing, I was going to ask him what his favorite beer he's brewed over the years, but that seems like a very difficult decision to make because I imagine he has ones that bring back many memories. He has a first, he has probably one he's done the best with business wise, but now I just want to know what his favorite shtick was as a
just a favorite pun.
Favorite pun, favorite shtick. I need to know.
It's not my favorite because it's crass and, Jewish humor is supposed to be elevated and existential. It's supposed to tie into 5,000 years of tradition from Moses to Sandy Koufax or, Mel Brooks. And, but I was laughing the hardest when I, for April Fools, a few years ago, wrote a press release on a plane. And I was like, and you'll appreciate this, Chad, because it ties into beer education too and beer styles. And some of you guys might have seen, we put out a press release about a beer we were going to launch called Circumcision Ale. And it was, it's a cut above the rest. And I did this whole really actually pretty intense press release. And I was on the plane laughing so hard while I was writing it. And the person next to me was just kind of looking over. So he sent it out, and you're from Boston, but the Boston, not the Globe, but another paper in Boston got really mad at Jesse, my publicist, because we sent it out early in the morning and they printed it and not realizing, because then my friend Chris, who was at Brewbound at the time, he gave me the best compliment. He was like, dude, I see a million of these stupid things. I mean, great things. We love all of our shticky customers, but that was the winner. And so I really appreciated that. I mean, Circumcision was good, but we also, on the meaningful side, did a beautiful project called She Brew, which is for International Women's Collaboration Brew Day. And so we had the women on my staff at the brewery and on our sales and marketing team get together, and we would do a collaboration with a woman-owned brewery each year. We did that for 5 or 6 years, and we did fundraisers for organizations like Girls Inc. Planned Parenthood was an awesome one. That was the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote in New York State, and that was a fundraiser for Planned Parenthood. So that was in an important year. That was 2016 and 17. But I really liked the shtick on the number 2. We did. It was like a Western theme, kind of cowboys and cowwomen. And it said, "This ain't our first rodeo, ... Actually, it's our second." So that I really appreciated. The first one we did was a tribute to the New York Dolls, rock band from the city. And so we all obviously were cross-dressing, which was awesome. It was a 11% triple IPA and 2014, 15. So it was pretty banging. It was awesome.
You've kind of been around the block. It sounds like you've seen, can you talk a little bit just like how craft beer has changed since 1996 to now?
Yeah.
Or how it's changed with your beers even? Because that's just crazy to see that progression.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, the first beer we put out was it's funny because you had a description of what the color of this beer is. And depending on whether the light's from above,
motor oil
above, or if, the light's from behind, it's somewhere between, I like to refer to it as garnet and crimson. I think those are very evocative colors, and they tie in nicely to the pomegranate notes. We use this beautiful pomegranate puree in this beer, as well as Concord grape, of course, from New York, classic, and figs and dates, because of the tie-in to the 7 sacred species, as everybody will well know on this call, that we use as proof of the bounty of the land of milk and honey when Moses sends the spies down into the promised land and bring back what's going on. And they bring back wheat and barley, as well as figs, dates, pomegranates, and grapes. They also bring back olives, which is the only sacred species we never brewed with. But we have a bunch of fun beers. Rejuvenator was a series I did with sacred species. Origin was a pomegranate strong ale that harkened back to that very first batch of Genesis, where we squeezed pomegranates into the beer. And the beer transformation is unbelievable. When we built the brewery in Clifton Park in 2013, we were the 93rd brewery in New York. And 5 years later, when I sold it 6 years later to some friends from Queens, we were there were 510 breweries in New York.
And 93 in Brooklyn.
Yeah, which is great, which I love. Yeah. Just don't get me wrong. I was actually very proud to, I had 2 cool things about Brooklyn. We started a brand called Coney Island Craft Lagers in 2007 and 8. And we had the world's smallest commercial brewery. It was a one gallon brewery brewing next to the Freak Show in Coney Island, which I thought was really cool.
1 gallon?
1 gallon at a time, baby. It was not efficient, but it was a lot of fun. So that was really cool. But then we built the brewery in Clifton Park. Like between those few years, 8,000 new craft breweries opened. And when I started, because of the Brooklyn Brewery, I started the New York City Craft Brewers Guild. And along with 12 other breweries, the founders were kind of me and Brooklyn Brewery and Kelso, but some really great breweries at the time. Finback had just started, and Heartland was in it, and Bronx Brewery, it's just getting rolling. And now there's 50 or 60 breweries in New York, which is amazing. Yeah. It's important. It's great. So we want the success of craft beer to keep going. And I want one of these fantastic young whippersnappers or some old person with lots of money that has a grandchild who's not on here yet. I mean, they just get it going, keep going. It's fine. I got lots of great recipes, an unbelievable network. We just need the power and the glory of some birthwriter to come home and realize, like I did after doing Leaf Note Lehiba Note when I was 25, that I wanted to be involved in the Jewish civilization project. And I wanted to find a place for myself that was, maybe at the time it wasn't at Hillel, it wasn't at JCC's, it wasn't at the Israel Center, but it allowed me to kind of explore my Jewish creativity and imagination in a way that was unique and powerful and interesting and delicious. And you could go talk smack at a lot of bars and meet friends all over the country. So it's a pretty damn good job sometimes. So I encourage it.
I mean, that's why we created our Hoppy Hanukkah craft beer experience. We wanted to provide the Jews something that's so popular in the world of Christianity.
Advent there are calendars. Millions of Advent calendars, millions. Like you think of it, there's an Advent calendar for it. And what's interesting is because whenever I run tours, I always say, we run tours that start at 11 o'clock in the morning. And if we were taking people to dive bars, everyone in their family, like, oh, you're going on a dive bar tour at 11 in the morning. Like, maybe we should have a conversation about this. But you tell them you're going to a brewery and now it's a hobby, right? There's a communal aspect of it. It's local. And so there are people who are doing that across the country, but it's interesting that what connected you across all of these places was Judaism.
Yes.
Like that's been the sticking point.
That was a highly unusual choice in a business environment. The main challenge, as I wrote a book about the whole thing, which you should all go out and get. It's probably, it's getting expensive at this point because the rarity on Amazon, but it's called Craft Beer Bar Mitzvah, and it's about the first 13 years of Shmaltz Brewing. And I wrote in it, in a business plan, like actual business people, they have to raise money and have a business plan. What's called size the market. real fancy term for like how many people could buy your stuff. And so you figure it's 2% of the population is Jewish, half are too old, half are too young, half don't drink. So essentially it's 0% of the market.
Yeah, you've got 150% of people who aren't interested.
And so it's funny because what was really cool was just like you don't have to be Jewish to love Fiddler on the Roof. I mean, come on. Or the Soup Nazi episode. You can also love Hebrew beer and appreciate it for the multi-layered elements to it. I mean, you guys, you asked about Shmaltz Brewing, and the reason I called it Shmaltz in the first place was three reasons. Shmaltz, as we all know, and it always gets a good comment from somebody at every one of the beer dinners or the party. Shmaltz means chicken fat in Yiddish. So in my mind, though, it was like a comfort food. It was a throwback to a sentimental time where grandparents would smear schmaltz on black bread for their grandchildren as a little treat. Obviously, also, schmaltz in humor is an overwhelming, irreverent, over-the-top sensibility. People like Henny Youngman, Mel Brooks, Sid Caesar, Woody Allen, but also Sarah Silverman and Amy Schumer and Rodney Dangerfield. So that was really important. And when I was starting the beer company to have that element, but also in the word schmaltz is another very important word. Oh, there we go. Schmaltz, malt, malted barley, malted rye, malted wheat, malted oats. Malt was one of the things that in the very beginning of craft beer really made the industry stand out. No adjuncts, no corn, no fillers, no rice, just all beautiful grains that Sierra Nevada and New Belgium and brewers like Dogfish really reveled in. And that was really important when I started, was to try to have three things. I still have it to this day: quality, community, and shtick. And you need to have all of them, at least for this company. And so that was
a compass for life.
Yeah, right. That was the three pillars. That was the three pillars.
What is it?
Quality, community, shtick. So you'll also like, dude. So I went to Japan. I thought I was going on vacation one time, like a few years ago, 10 years ago. And a friend of a friend was like, "Oh, you got to hook up with the Japanese brewers." And I was like, "That sounds awesome." So they had the Japanese Craft Brewers Conference the weekend that I got to Japan. And they invited me to give a talk about the state of craft beer in America. And it was like, okay, it's me, right? We're going to do this my way. So they had translators in the back. There were about 350 people, very serious about craft beer and the state of craft beer. And they had the headsets on, and I talked to the translators, and I said, so my piece is entitled Quality, Community, and Shtick. And they were like, oh, okay, yes. Quality, I got community. What is this shtick of which you speak? And so I had to teach the Japanese translators on what you could call shtick for a craft beer conference. And it was awesome. I mean, once people got it, they're in, they're hooked. You just got to get them. You got to go like door to door, Whole Foods to Whole Foods, bar to bar, and, beg, steal, borrow, prove to them that you have really, really great beer. And
Chad and I are clearly,
you have chutzpah. That's what it comes down to.
Chad and I are clearly not one
brewery
stick. We understand.
On chutzpah.
I know. Originally it was Exile never tasted so good. That was like pretty nichey when I first started. So I changed it to Chutzpah never tasted so good. That was the more mainstream, marketing approach. So I'm gonna have a little more of this if you don't mind. Distilled Jubilation.
Totally.
Well, I think we're getting to our time limit. Like I could easily just spend hours just drinking. That's what I feel. I feel like we're just in this tap room right now in Troy, New York. Well, I don't have the donuts, but I feel like I'm just in this tap room in Troy, New York, drinking with Jeremy. Like it's amazing. But can you let's plug that what your new venture is, because we have to wrap up.
Yeah.
But
also online,
keep drinking.
Hit our Facebook page, hit us on our website. Brand spanking new, but old. It's so old. We did this as an incredibly special project 2010 San Francisco Beer Week, we sent 650 gallons or so of finished beer, 11%, 11 malts, 11 hops to 14%, 14 malts, 14 hops to St. George's Distillery in Alameda, California. And wonderful distiller there, Dave, took my giant triple brown ale and turned it into this rocket fuel of deliciousness. And we aged it in a barrel and then another barrel that I had bought from some people I was buying barrels for their barrel aging project for beer. They're called Buffalo Trace in Kentucky. And I said, guys, just mail me out a carton of barrels. Great stuff, good stuff. Turns out the first barrel they sent was Buffalo Trace. The second barrel they sent was Pappy Van Winkle. And
Also might have heard of it.
so, if anybody's out there, it's like, normally it's $100 for a bottle and now it's $1,500.
If you can even find it. Yeah.
So this was aged. This is 4 different years of jubilation, distilled to 125 proof, but then blended down by my really amazing neighbors and friends at Yankee Distilling here in upstate New York. And we have a 88 proof, beautiful new product, very limited in 750s and these adorable little 375s. Look how cute that is.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, you can buy it online or just come by the tasting room and have some fun with it. But yeah, Shmaltz liquor. I don't know what's going to happen. People were like, oh, so is that the new thing? We do have more barrels of more products that have been distilled. This particular one, aged in the Pappy barrels, this is it. So you got to come try this stuff. You can hit me up in New Jersey and Jersey City on Friday. I'll have some. New York City.
Where in Jersey City? Someone asked.
Where in Jersey City? Barcade.
Barcade.
So yeah, on our Facebook, it has all the events there. And then Spite and Dival and Barcade on Saturday. And then the Independent in Tampa. Sarah, we'll see you down there. And yeah, this is really fun. It's something different. I mean, just when you thought you couldn't drink enough beer as a 52-year-old, just go straight for the liquor. I think that's the solid transition to being a responsible grown man.
So to summarize, quality community shtick.
Yeah.
And when you turn 50, you go straight for liquor.
Straight for the booze.
Straight for the booze. Jeremy,
Yes.
complete pleasure. We could do this for days. Maybe the three of us have a podcast in the future.
Are we really gonna? We're gonna try to do something else on Friday night too. We're really gonna.
Do we think I feel like we should just meet up another time and just drink together. Maybe we can make that happen. We'll see.
Why don't I save this if Matthew is going to be on, because
He's gonna. So that's a tease. There's more of Jeremy and our good friend Matthew from last year. If you were here from Exhibit A Friday night.
Jews and alcohol. A grand tradition, my friends. A grand tradition. L'chaim, everybody. Way to go. You made it. We did it. Night number 2.
Thank you, Jeremy. We appreciate
Jeremy.
you. This is awesome.
And
9 p.m. tomorrow.
Keep up the good work, guys.
See y'all.
All right, Todd. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m.
I think
This was
my schedule
awesome.
is clear. See you then,
Hope
Chad.
so. All right. Bye, everyone. Happy Hanukkah.